Talking Baseball Australia Live continues our first show of 2022-23. And the gentleman on the screen right there is Dave Nilsson, the manager of Team Australia. Haven't seen you in a while. It's been a while since back in June in the States. How you doing? How you doing?
I'm doing good. Good morning here, and obviously got a busy few weeks ahead of me and really excited to get it going. So always got time for you, though.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Been a busy week, as you mentioned. Let's go back to last weekend in Perth. How was that series overall from a Team Australia perspective, from your side?
Well, first of all, from my side, I wasn't there. I'd got back from Taiwan. I had a wedding anniversary, and I was lucky I had a chest infection, so I didn't make the trip. But by all accounts, speaking to the coaches and speaking to the players, it was a fantastic weekend. They said it was a little bit cold and windy in Perth, which was
Right.
unusual, but overall, really necessary to get the guys back together. Just start that process of becoming a team again, because again, it's just under 3 years since they were together as a group wearing the uniform. That's a long time. So it was very good from that point of view, and from a performance point of view, for the pitchers to get some innings and for the hitters to get some live at bats before we go face one of the best teams in the world on their home turf.
You and I chatted back in the States in June, and you were excited then. I still get the same feeling. You're excited now. I know we're all excited. It's been a wait. It's been a while, but it seems like some renewed energy for Team Australia and for the boys. Am I reading that right?
Yeah, 100%. I think you're reading it. All of Australian baseball. It's not just Team Australia; it's the ABL. We're getting a little bit of a feel of normality back, and with it comes a lot of the memories about how much fun it is. And I think there's a bit of that going around the country, but specifically right now on the radar is Team Australia getting together tomorrow in Sydney, going to the Japan consulate, then jumping on the Qantas flight next morning and getting after it and getting on that big stage again, which is where we want to be.
Yeah, nothing like playing the best too. I mean, this is not you're not playing a team that's trying to get in. You're playing the best in the world. That's a plus too, I think, for Team Australia. You're going to get in. You're going to play well. You might as well play the best.
Well, we want to be the best, right? So to be the best, you got to beat the best, you got to play the best, and the more we can have this happen, the better it's going to be for us. It's going to be great for the guys who've been on the team, to remind them, and they're super excited, and also for some of the younger guys I'm bringing along with me to expose them to that environment for the first time. Yeah, really excited.
The young guys, the under 23 guys that you're bringing, and there's a handful of them. They had a great run there in Taipei. Finished fourth. Really great ball games. Played some top-notch competition. How huge was that for them to get that exposure going forward, facing a team like Japan?
Well, obviously, anytime you play an international event, there's a learning that takes place, and there was a lot of that happening there. I think a learning for that group is they could have done a lot better, and they know that. You know, everyone was really pleased with getting in the Super Round. All the supporters, their families, the fans, Baseball Australia, really proud of them. But as a group, I think they realized they left a lot on the table, and they're starting to figure out this is for the taking for them, and they're really excited as we were. So that was a great time. Good 2 weeks in Taipei.
Heading to Tokyo, playing in the Sapporo Dome. This is a big venue. Now, granted, it's not qualifying time. This is tune-up time. Do you go about things any different as a manager? What you're doing? Are you going to try to play this thing more like you play come March?
It'll be very similar to March. Every time you put on the Australian uniform, you want to do everything you can to make sure the performance is in line with being the best team from Australia. Having said that, it's a little unusual. I have to navigate. Well, we're at the start of our season, and I've got professionals coming off a season and Australian players at the start of a season. So I have to navigate their physical condition a little bit more than I will at a World Baseball Classic. And then once we sort of really land on where we think the individual's at, then we'll put the best team out there and go at it. If I get a chance to expose some of the players to some situations, I'll do that. But the first priority will be trying to compete, trying to win, and then give everyone as much experience as possible.
Look at the roster. I won't go through the entire roster here because we're kind of pushed for time here as you got some things to do. Just looking at it, it's a great balance. I think in the last couple of years, because it seems like a few years back, maybe going back to 17, it was a heavy veteran presence. It seems you got a really good balance. You got those familiar names, the older guys, the veterans. You got the young guys and some guys right in the middle. You've got a real balanced age group. Am I reading that correct?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a good thing. When you look at the history of the international competition, the last 20 years, going back to the 2000 Olympics, the World Baseball Classics, the Premier 12s, and the other international events, I think the average age of the winning team sits right around 29.1 years old.
Right.
So that shows you need experience to compete and to win in these events, but you also need athleticism, you need talent. So to have that mix, I think, is really a positive. And so to have the younger guys around, have them experience the older guys who have, a little bit war battled, so to speak. I think that's what the team needs. We always need to have a bit of both, and it's going to be really refreshing. And I look forward to getting up there with the group I had in Taipei, and it's going to be really exciting.
You're watching Talking Baseball Australia Live. My name's Dan Vaughn, and we're talking with manager of Team Australia and the Brisbane Bandits, Dave Nilsson. Always good to have him on. Group B, boy, that's going to be a tough group going in March 9th and through 13th and 23. It sounds like a pretty rough bunch. Team Australia, Team China, Czech Republic, and oh, by the way, Japan and South Korea. Wow. Group B, that's a tough group. Your thoughts on Group B?
No, there is no tough group. They're all tough. I mean, you want to be the best, right? You want to try to win. I don't buy into that tough group stuff.
There you go.
Put it to the side. Hey. So we just gotta take care of business. Who do you want to come up the first round? USA, Puerto Rico, Venezuela? Come on. I think I'm happy with where we're at.
I think you are. You and I spoke about this back in the summer. It's closing the gap. How do we close the gap, to catch the Japans, the USAs of the world? How are we going to close the gap? And you and I had a little discussion about that. What was one of the keys? If you remember that conversation we talked about, in your estimation, of closing that gap down the road?
Yeah, I think there's different parts of the game that speed up at times, and being close or having a lead in that 8th or 9th inning, nothing can prepare you or replicate that. Kind of like a race car driver going around the bend at full speed. Unless you've been in that territory, you don't really understand how quick the game operates. And when you're playing and you're watching on TV, obviously on TV it looks low, looks the same, but you get towards that back end of a tied game or a one-run game against Team Japan or one of the big teams. You got to learn to control the heart rate. You got to slow everything down. And I think the more we're in that environment, that's where the success will come from. I think we're good enough to get to that final bend. We're good enough to get the 8th inning. I think that's where our improvement has to come from. Not the first 5 or 6 innings, but the final 2 or 3.
Wrapping things up with Dave Nilsson here, manager of Team Australia, the Brisbane Bandits. We won't talk about Brisbane right now, though. You guys are loaded. Down the road, we'll discuss that. You and I ran into each other, I mentioned a couple of times, back in the States with the Lake Country Dockhounds. How many times did people come up to you and say, oh, I know you're from Australia? Were they surprised? What was the reaction when they found out, oh, yeah, we play baseball in Australia? Were they taken away by that?
Yes and no. I mean, that's just part of it being from Australia. You have those conversations with people from all around the world. They're always surprised about what we do down here, and I think it's just a good opportunity to open up their eyes to the rest of the world. So I enjoy it. I enjoy people are always nice to me, and I enjoy talking baseball and sharing about Baseball Australia.
Final thing about that Lake Country too, you were just down the road from Milwaukee where you made your name there with the Brewers. How was that experience? I know you had your family there with you. Was it a great experience for you to kind of take them back to that where it all began for you professionally?
Absolutely, absolutely, total surreal experience for me taking my grown up children back to a new stadium, not a stadium I played in, but
Right.
it's in the same location, and yeah, wonderful experience for me, and to share that with my family. I had a wonderful time being not just in Economawalk, but in going down to Milwaukee and visiting down that area. Yeah, great time. Really glad I did it. Special part of my life.
Hey, I appreciate your time as always. Stop by Talking Baseball Australia. I look forward to seeing you soon. Best to y'all there in Japan, and best to the ABL this year too. We'll talk Bandits next time. How about that?
Yeah, that's good. I'm happy to do that. Not now.
Yeah, appreciate your time as always, mate. Have a good trip and go get them in Tokyo there.
Okay, thanks for support. Speak to you soon.